All right, so what's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to DenofTruth. It's good to be back. New studio, new vibes, new energy. So today on the DenofTruth, we've got Ade. So Ade is the founder of A Little Lagos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about it. So talk about what is A Little Lagos and talk about the business and what it is.
So Little Lagos is basically a small part of home for us. Like, I'm from Lagos, born and raised. So Lagos is the biggest city in Nigeria. And it's one of those commercial cities where everyone just comes there to be prosperous, like for work, for entertainment, for everything. And that's where Fela Kuti is from. So that's where Afrobeat was born. So like when you're actually from Lagos, it's like a thing of pride, like it's a privilege because you're like, I'm indigenous, like this is my land.
Yeah.
So I felt like I needed to bring a part of home to Sydney, especially because I've lived in a lot of places. And when I moved to Sydney, I was just shocked that there was literally no place for me to go to on a weekend to eat African food, listen to music, vibe, see people like me, hang out, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So Little Lagos is supposed to be a small part of home where literally when you're in there, everything should remind you of Lagos. If you've never been to Lagos, it should help you imagine what Lagos will feel like.
Yeah, and that's dope. I think we were talking about it just a bit before the podcast. We're talking about, for a lot of people who haven't been to Africa, a lot of people don't understand that anywhere which serves food is like the center point of the community.
That's right.
Yeah. So, especially when I first saw Little Lagos, that's what it first reminded me of.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw it, I'd just come back from Zimbabwe, so I was already on the vibes already. So when I saw that, I was like, like this is what Sydney needs, especially I gotta give you your flowers too, because I feel as if, especially with the African diaspora, it's something that's been missing for a long period of time.
Yeah.
A place. Yeah, there's definitely some other different types of African restaurants around the way, but I think this one was Little Lagos is great because it doesn't just incorporate food, it incorporates culture, incorporates music. It's sort of like a community center like I talked about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so look, talk. I know you just talked about you living in different places.
Yeah.
So what other places have you lived?
I lived in Dubai. I lived in London.
Yeah.
It's still my favorite place, so... lived in Romania. That's a bit weird.
What are you doing in Romania?
I can't talk about it on air.
No idea.
I actually went to medical school in Romania. Funny enough, because we were living in London back then, and my dad was like, I can't afford medical school in England.
Yeah.
So we started looking around, and we found this colleges in Romania that offered classes in English.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, you're going to Romania? I was like, what? Like, Eastern Europe?
Yeah.
I had to look it up on the map. But I lived there for about 7 years, and I actually speak fluent Romanian. So I can freak people out. Like if I ever hear people speaking Romanian in the store, like in Woolies, I just like creep up next to them and I'm like speaking to them in Romanian and they freak out.
How do you say hello?
Bună.
Bună. Damn, man.
Yeah.
So how was that experience there? Like that's
it was interesting, man. Yeah, they just came out of communism, so the country been closed off. So I think communism ended in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So they just started like receiving like foreigners and being open to the rest of the world. They're very nice people. They're very similar to Africans, very communal, very family oriented, very religious people as well.
Yeah.
So it was not a bad experience. Like I don't regret any time I spent there, and I really like I made it a point to like learn about the culture, learn the language, so I could actually talk to people daily. I still had an accent, but I could actually speak like 90% of the language and understand. So it was an interesting place.
That's dope. And then how did you get to Australia? Because that's a lot, man. You came from London, Romania.
Yeah.
And then what happened there?
Look, Australia wasn't on the map, bro. To be honest. Like, I didn't know
There's an island somewhere in the water.
I think I knew about Australia because you learn about the continent and they're like, Australia is a continent by itself, this massive island, and it's far, I was supposed to move to Canada because my sister lives in Canada, so I was doing the whole application for permanent residence and all of that, and the immigration lawyer was like, yo, I could do Australia as well for, two for the price of one kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is the Canadian permanent resident didn't come out and the Australian one came out in like 6 months.
Damn.
So my sister was like, maybe it's a sign, you know? Like, why don't you go check it out? Like, just go there. So I was like, fine. So I just literally went on Facebook. I was like, yo, is there anyone I know in Australia?
Shout out Facebook. Shout out Facebook.
Facebook is the plug, you know? So my family friend hit me up. She's like, yeah, I live in Sydney. I'm a nurse. And I was like, what's that place like? She's like, oh, it's really nice. I was like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. I was like, is there black people there? She's like, yeah. Like, so I came in. This is 2016. I was like, I'll check it out and I'll see, you know, what the vibe is. And I haven't left since then.
Damn.
So I've just been here since then because I'm just like, it's too far, bro. Like, I think if I leave, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
So just think of that.
Yeah, like, put it that way. Yeah. I mean, I think. How was your early experience in Australia? You know, because I think one of the things that the African diaspora experience early when coming to Australia is a lot of them feel very lonely. Yeah. They feel very disconnected from their communities.
Yeah.
How was your experience?
100% that. Like, I didn't know anyone. And I think I was lucky because I went straight into work. Like, I started working immediately, like a week after. I worked in the city in Barangaroo. So I would just go to work, come home, go to work, come home. But I think it's not that bad because of the whole like internet and you're really connected to home. Like, I would FaceTime my family every day, but I still felt like for me, what was missing was just hanging out with my boys, you know? Like, because that's what we would do in Dubai. Like, every Friday, we're like, all right, where are we going to eat? We go spend the whole day there, just eat, banter, you know, just chill. So I didn't have that. And I didn't have that for 2 years. So I was just like, whoa, like, this is really hard, you know?
Yeah.
But then I started to make friends from work here and there. So, but it was still definitely very lonely, like in the beginning.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's lonely, man, especially coming to a country where it's like no one looks like you. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you're having to start again. Yeah. I gotta, you know, I feel whenever I see an immigrant from any country and I see them, I try to at least try and make them feel a bit comfortable because I know how hard it is. It's like if I was, for example, one day just to go to Russia, try to start my life there
all over again.
I can imagine that being extremely lonely. So I definitely feel that. Yeah. So now you've come to Australia. Now that you got a job, how did the whole concept of a little Lagos start to develop?
Yeah. Look, to be honest, it was for myself. Like, I was just like, there has to be a place here where I can just kick it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I eat Thai food, Italian food, like Vietnamese, I eat everything. But like, I want to walk into a place where the art on the wall reminds me of home. Yeah. Where the music reminds me of home. Where the smell of the food reminds me of home. You know what I mean? Like, it was really, that's where it came from. I was just like, why can't there be just one place, like in Sydney, where this can happen, you know? And when I started meeting people, I'll be like, yo, what we doing? Like, where we going? And it was always like, we're going to this pub or that bar. And I was just like, yeah, it's cool, but
get over it. You
know what I mean? Like, so that's where it started. But food, for me, I decided to use food as a platform because I think food has overtaken music as the universal like connector right now. Like, before, I think it was music. Like, we could all vibe to the same kind of music. Yeah. I think now it's food. Like, regardless of where you're from, your background, you can like the same food as someone that that you have absolutely nothing in common with. Mm-hmm. So, and I know like when I started looking into it, I was talking to a few people and they were like, yeah, there used to be African restaurants in Sydney and stuff, but they closed down. So I was just like, huh. So that was why I just said, okay, look, I'm gonna try to do it. And for me, Lagos, like, it's home, you know, it's my heart. So like, if I'm gonna do anything, that's what I'm going to make it look like and feel like. And then when I started doing the pop-up and I started seeing all these people coming through to eat, then I was like, okay, you know, this is definitely going to work. Yeah,
it's there. Now, it's just that because I you know, especially for the diaspora that grew up in Australia, it's like, we're just waiting for it. We're just waiting for someone sort of in the right demographics to sort of start it and then keep the ball running. Yeah. And what's cool about it is that now that people have seen you being able to do it, especially, I think one of the biggest, I think for me, my biggest question was, okay, are people who are not African going to like African food? Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's pretty broad for me even to say that because, you know, Africa's got so many countries. Yes. And the dishes are so different compared to where you are 100%. On the continent. So different. Yeah. But generally speaking, you know, the food, especially like, you know, the savory meats and the rices, it is the same type of concept.
It is 100%. You know? Like, when I see like Vietnamese people walk into Little Lagos, I used to freak out. And I used to try to explain to them, like to the point of annoying them. Like, but do you know this has tripe? Do you know what tripe is? And they're like, yo, we eat all of that. Like, we're Vietnamese. We eat every single part of the cow, the tail, the tongue, the eyes. Like, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, and Koreans as well, Filipino people as well. They're like, this is what we eat. It's just cooked different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, cool. Because sometimes you want to really make sure people know what they're, you know, what they're eating. And Italians as well. So cow feet, which is like one of the biggest delicacies, right?
Yeah.
I would always freak out because I was like, oh, you know, maybe they're not going to like it. And they're like, no, that's all we eat, you know? So I think when people started coming in and they started trying the food, I became a bit more confident. Like, okay, you know, there's still stuff that they might not like, you know what I mean? But like the general vibe that everyone eats everything there. We all eat the same things, we just cook it different.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it, literally. But where did this passion for food come from?
Just eating, man.
Keep it simple, just eating.
That's it. Like, I love food. Like, I love to eat. Like, we can't be friends if you don't like to eat. You know what I mean? Like, we just wouldn't gel because I'll be like, where we eating? You know what I mean? As soon as we eat, it's like, where we eating next? So, I grew up in a home where food was a major part of the activities that we did as well. You know, my sisters cooked, my mom cooked, I cooked. So I think it was just more like, this is one of the few things I like to do. Like, I like to eat, I like to listen to music. So, you know what I mean? It was just natural for me.
Yeah, that's dope. I mean, I'm a bit 100% honest. I'm a terrible cook. No. But I'm in the process. You gotta give me. I gotta get to the kitchen. I gotta learn some processes, man. I gotta learn something about it. But yeah, man. But even in that, like one thing that what I've been following you and following your Instagram is, I think even though you have a passion for cooking, I definitely see how business savvy you are. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Even with the pop-up shop, and then boom, brother's already got a store. It's like, for people looking on the outside, it looks like it was just like a day process. Right. But I can imagine for you, the process. So how was the process for you in terms of, you've just come to Australia. Yeah. So there's obviously things with the regulations, with structure that, you're trying to get your head around. So how was that process for you in understanding that?
It was hard. I'm not going to lie. Like you said, I think the main thing was regulations and just understanding, what the rules are. And when you don't have a network, it's twice as hard because you literally are online trying to find information, trying to find what to do. I've been so blessed because there was like 2 or 3 people that just kind of came into my life. One of them was Nick Todd. So that's the guy who runs Dirty Dancing and Article 1 events. Yep. Another guy was Pasan. That's the guy who owns the bar where I used to do the pop-up. So Els Jukja and Jacoby's. And they've been here all their life and they're successful businessmen. Yeah. So they were literally like my mentors. Yeah. And I think without them, I wouldn't have been able to, because it was always like, what is this? Like, what does it mean? How do I go around it? And then they would just break it down. But still, it was very hard because I had a full-time job. I still have a full-time job. So it was always like, get home at 5, take out the laptop and start trying to, do work. And then by that time, most of the businesses that you want to talk to are already closed. Council is closed and all of that stuff. So it was very, very hard. But I think like what you said about the branding, for me, it was important. Like, the branding was the most important part of the thing, along with the food. Like, I was always like, if someone looks at Little Lakers, they should be like, okay, I want to check this out. Yeah. Because everyone can cook, like, especially here. Like, it's easy to cook and it's easy to, like, sell food. But, like, I've seen, like, some people, like, take a picture of the food and post it on Instagram. And I'm like, I would not eat that. You know what I mean? And I know what it is. Yeah. I know it's going to taste good, but it just looks like, it doesn't look nice.
It's presentable, it doesn't,
It doesn't look presentable. And with food, it has to look like something someone, wants to eat. So that was one of the things, like, when I was, like, coming up with the business, like, food photography, like, presentation of the food, explaining what the food is about, describing all of that. It was really important. And I think once I kind of got that right, the brand just kind of, like, just followed. And a lot of people also felt like, I think once they started, like, coming to the pop-up and they could see, like, we took this shit serious, like, especially with regulations and all, like, we didn't cut corners, like, we're very environmental friendly with our packaging and everything. People felt like it's not just about the food. Like, these guys, I like their story and I like what they're doing. Yeah. I think that's why the support started coming in early.
Yeah. And I think it's important, man. We got to have more black-owned business. I rock at that, you know what I mean? Because I know how difficult it is. There's a lot of people in your situation where it's like, all right, they work a full-time job.
Yeah.
They get home at 5:30. Some of them got kids, or some of them are just they go home, they get tired, and then they're doing the research, and by the time they finish at 10:30, they got to go sleep and then do it again all over again. Yeah. So, what was your biggest challenge in this whole process?
I think finance. Yeah. Like, this is all self-funded. Like, I put everything I own, like, to the last dollar into it. And I was like, all right, that's it. So I think finance was the biggest, because you're not expecting to make any money, like, in the first 2-3 years. Like, everyone would tell you that, especially with hospitality business. Yeah. So you got to put up a lot of money, especially when you want your branding to be on point. Like, when you don't want to cut corners, you have to put up a lot of money to start. So I think that was the biggest, because you're not getting a business loan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, banks are like, yeah, right. Like,
really? Yeah. You say the banks wouldn't?
Nah. Even the one I work for, they're like, yeah, no, we'll give you a loan to, like, go to Fiji. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to go to Fiji. Like, I want to,
start a business.
Like, nah. So, it was very weird for me, right? Because I thought, like, I had a massive business plan, like, beautiful one. I was like, yeah. And all the banks were like, nah. So
why's that?
I don't know. Maybe because I haven't been here long enough. Maybe because I didn't have property, or like someone explained to me, like, yo, you could take the money and run, and I was like, yeah, but I'm not.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was the first wake up call for me.
Yeah.
When I realized you're not gonna get any help. Yeah. Like, this is gonna be you. You're gonna have to put all the money. So I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. Yeah. Because when someone is asking you to put up 150, 200 grand for a business, you got to sit back and really think about it. Yeah. Because that's like 2 houses, down payment, and you're chilling. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For a while. Yeah.
For a while, literally, right. So that was the hardest part for me, like, just coming up with the money to start everything and to keep it going.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. Even the way that you describe it, it's a big risk. Yeah. If you're not passionate about it, if you're not willing to take that risk, then don't do it at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy you talk about that, man. Because I was just, funny enough, prior to this, I was reading this article about being self-funded. Right. You know what I mean? The types of conversations that you can have when you're self-funded. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at a little Lagos, it's like the whole thing is self-funded. The whole thing is owned by yourself. Yeah. So it's like, these are the type of conversations you have with, now you can go to a bank and now you got proof of concept.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So now that you have the proof of concept, it's a different conversation because you've already taken that risk. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did you find that, like, a lot of people didn't believe in the concept initially, or it was just more of that risk factor?
It's a risk factor. Everyone believed in it. Like, I even had, like, a bigger homie who I went to. I was like, yo, big homie, let's do this. And he's like, this is going to be great. Yeah. But I got to talk to my wife about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's another thing. Yeah.
I can hear the wife going, nah. But you can't hold it. You can't take it personal. Everyone's got different situations. She's like, look, we've been trying to buy a new car. I'm not driving that piece of shit anymore. Like, I want that new car. Yeah. Because a business, like, if he put money into it, he's probably going to be waiting 2 years to even see some kind of return.
Exactly.
Exactly. So everyone believed in it, but it was just, it was a risk thing for a lot of people. Like, anything can go wrong, man. Like, anything. So people are like, do I want to put 100 grand in here and watch it literally go up in flames? No. Or do I want to go buy a house? Like, people are into property. Yeah, that's what I noticed. Everyone's like, property. I'm just like, okay, cool, but no one is really into, like, the one I spoke to at least, like, they weren't really into business. They were more into, I want to be like property portfolio and all of that.
That's an interesting thing, man, because I feel like that's a lot of that's an African mentality. Yeah. That right there. Because it's like, when you come to Australia, and this is not even African, any immigrant. Yeah. Any immigrant, when you come, the first thing you can do when you come to Australia, the first thing you want that safety net. That's right. Which means someone has to save $100K. Yeah. Because we got to get that house deposit. That's everyone's number one.
That's what you work towards.
Yeah, that's what you're working towards. So it's like, all right, now it's like, now that, and that takes a while. People think that $100K, you can just save that up in like 5-6 years. You know what I mean? Especially having young kids and having bills, it's like, that's extremely difficult. So now you got to save for that. And so now I think that that deters the mentality away from starting a business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't have the answers, and I don't know what we need to do to sort of get to that sort of stage. And I'm talking about any immigrant in general, but do you think that it would be better used? It would be better used for immigrants to start more smaller businesses, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Do you think that's what?
Definitely.
Do you think
that's how you grow your community? That's how you grow your economy. Like, for example, right? Like most of my vendors, they're from my community, my staff. You know, like I hire non-Africans as well. But like right now, I've got like 8 people already. You know, and I'm telling my 2 of my chefs like, yo, as soon as you're ready to go, let me know. And I'm going to invest, and then you're going to go open up your own like cafe or bistro and all, because now you're Little Lagos. You've got that. You've seen how we do things here. You've seen how strong the brand is. Take that, go west, do your thing. I would come in if you need me to, bring my expertise, bring my knowledge, bring some money. You start your own. You're hiring another 3, 4, 5 people, and then that's it. Like, it doesn't even have to be a franchise. You call it whatever you want. You can call it Tiny Lagos or Big Lagos, right? Yeah. So, and that's how you grow your economy. That's how you leave a legacy behind. Like, people think buying house, and I'm not a financial advisor. But like, you buying a house, the bank owns the house. Like, for the next 30 years, you know, and
it's the truth.
You know what I mean? So I'm just like, but again, it's an appetite for risk, you know. So people might be like, nah, I want a house so that whatever happens, I got to
sleep. Yeah. I'm with that too. Yeah. So I'm with the security.
But I definitely think we need more smaller businesses, like, just to kind of grow that economy, just to grow us collectively as a people. Because if you've got a plumbing business, for example, now I've got a cafe. I've always got plumbing issues. Now I'm always coming to you. You know, like, at least, you know, Little Lagos is a client. You know, at least once a month I'm giving you some kind of business. You know. So it's really important.
Yeah, I think we got to get to that stage, man. That group economics. And just helping each other, because that's my whole thing as well. I think that cool. Black people are great entertainers. And we do a great job. But we need to be in other industries to push the culture forward. 100%. We need like engineers, we need doctors, we need business owners,
like
finance,
medical, you know, like, shout out to my boy Xavier. Like, he's a psychiatrist, and I'm like, we need Black psychiatrists. Like, we need to know, like, there's someone who understands, like, you know, the struggle that we can talk to. You know what I mean? Like, not saying you can't talk to somebody else, but you're just more comfortable talking to someone like that. You know, so because
I understand your plight and I understand what's going on, and and just in terms of just increasing our expertise in our range of things. You know, I think that's why sometimes, you know, when we get into professions, a lot of us, we reach sort of like a glass ceiling, is because sometimes, or even, I'll give you a better example. It's even like, you know, you work for a bank. So, you know, there's a lot of Black people that work for banks, a lot of immigrants that work for banks. But at any bank, how many diverse executives are there? Not many. You know,
like senior management.
Senior management. There's not many. Now, there's always usually one. Right? And you know that one is going through it every single day at work, because they're the trailblazer. But it makes it easier for the next 10 to come through. So I think definitely what you're talking about is needed, especially when it comes to like ownership. That one is definitely going to struggle. Those 10 are going to struggle.
100%.
But it opens the floodgates out for the other hundreds who are going to come the next 5 to 10 years. It's crazy. But you were talking about appetite for risk. So talk about this year, man. And talk about this year, and you know.
I was just having a chat with my sister over there, like, yo, bro, I have no words. But I said, it's like, I never stop to think about it. Like,
I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's hard, because if you do, you're gonna be up all night. I think it's just been incredible, you know. And people are like, what are you doing? We signed the lease, first of all. So I signed the lease. I got my team together. I was like, yo, we're signing the lease back in February. So, and this was like when it was just, we heard there was some virus, and we're like, like, you know, I'm just like, oh, it's just another flu virus, like, you know. And by the time we signed the lease, shit started to get real. And I remember, like, we were doing the fit out, like, you know. So I was there every night with my peeps. We're doing the fit out. And this is starting going into March, and then April, and then the full lockdown came in, like stage 4. And I was still doing fit out. You know, and like I swear, I think people used to walk by on Edmond and like cry, like just seeing me doing that, because like, what is this guy thinking? You know? And we just said, you know what? I had a long thing. I was already like 100 grand in at that point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, what do you want to do? Like, just run out, break the lease, you know, watch 100 grand burn, or keep going. But then the uncertainty was what was killing me.
Yeah,
because I was like, okay, this could work out well. Like, this virus can just wipe us all out. Yeah. And then I'm dead. Yeah. And then I'm like, cool. You know, like, I've not lost anything because I'm dead.
Yeah.
But then it could be around for the next 5 years. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it was really hard. But I think, like, once I just realized that, okay, this is the new reality, you know? And like I said, I had these people that I would always talk to, like Pasan. You know, he's got 2 bars in Newtown.
Damn.
So he's got Earl's Juke Joint and he's got Jacoby's Tiki Bar on Enmore Road. So he's going through it. You know, so you know what I mean? But he was just like, bro, that's it. Now, what are you going to do about it? Like, I was like, all right, fuck it. Like, you know, let's rise to it. And then we just started with takeout. We even had like, we had DJ Classic came in and do a live stream on the day we launched our takeout, went aggressive with marketing. Like, and the community just fell in behind us. Like, I think people were just like, we can't let this business fail.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in. I'm telling you, that's like exactly the mentality. When I saw it, when I saw you launching up, because it was a pop up, and then I was like, oh shit, this guy's opening up a space. Yeah. In my mind, I was like, yo, we can't let this shit happen.
Yeah, 100%.
I was like, 100%. If anyone can get out there, out there and support this brother,
that's
because
what happened. Like, heart on heart. Like, sometimes I get emotional because I see people and I'm like, I know you can cook, man. Like, I know you can make a goosey at home, but you're here every night. Like, I know you're saying something. Yeah. And they're like, you know, and they're telling their friends, they're telling them peeps. Like, my boy Toby would order fruit every weekend. You know what I mean? So I think that's what just kept us going. Like, once I saw that outpouring of love and support, I was like, nah, like, we're going to be all right. You know? And people would literally come in and be like, you're going to be fine. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So that made everything like worth it. You know, and it was still scary. Yeah. But at least we felt like now, like, you know, we got people behind us.
And I think that's what it is, man. And for me, it was just like, we can't let these black businesses, especially during this period of time, or you know what, any local business, any local business or any local cafe,
100%.
Any of your local, man, if you can just spend like 10, whatever you can, just to support them, because it goes a long way. Yeah. And it's funny what you were just talking about, when you were saying like, this is the norm. It's just like, people think that December 31st, COVID, boom, get 2021 is done. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, this is the norm. Like, we're going to have to sign in every single time we're going to a restaurant. We're going to have to like 1.5 meters from each other for like the next so long. Like, that's just the new norm, and we have to accept that. But it's crazy to say that, like, you know, you came with different strategies and creative strategies to sort of get yourself out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But even that, like, you know, starting a business, did you ever feel like you got any sort of, did you ever face any racism?
It's hard to say, like, because you can confuse racism with like assholeism. You know what I mean? Like, some people are just assholes, regardless of their color or whatever the fuck they are. Yeah. So you can't, like, if someone's being an asshole, they're just an asshole. You can't always be sure, like, it's because you black and they're not black. Do you know what I mean? So I think in business, the thing you have to be smart about is understand when you're facing racism, like legit racism, and when you're just facing assholeism. And it's a very like blurred line. You know what I mean? So I think the kind of racism I would say I faced would be like systematic racism. Like,
what do you mean by that?
Like going to a real estate agent and saying, I want to rent this shop, and then they're sending me like 20 more forms than they will send. And I know because I've got my non-black friends to call the same shop and be like, tell them you want to rent that spot. And I've seen what they've sent them. And it's like, oh yeah, fill this form, come through. And it's like, for me, they're like, your birth certificate, your bank statement, your tax returns. And I'm like, yo, you know, AFP background check, like FBI check.
It's like, yo.
Like, I know I'm Nigerian, but damn, like, go easy, man. So that, I don't think that's racism per se. I think that's just like, oh, you know, we don't know where these guys come out from, and you know what I mean? So definitely faced that a lot, like struggled so hard to find a place, man. Like, so many places are still vacant now that they just wouldn't rent.
Damn, really?
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying, like, is it racism or is that landlord just like, I don't want to do business with you? It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, there's a lot of blurred lines.
That's right. So yeah, like, I think that's been it. Like, I don't really think like I've had any direct in your face, go back where you came from kind of racism. I haven't, to be honest.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Yeah, because I'm just sort of trying to get an understanding from a business owner perspective of, the type of things that you would experience that, people would sort of want to know, if that makes sense,
Yeah. It's hard these days because people, again, unless you're like a proper white supremacist with a swastika tattooed on your forehead and you're out there like, even people who are racist now, they're being subtle about it.
Yeah.
They're not really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's taking time. It's taking time.
Yeah.
Taking time for a racist right now. Yeah.
It's
not like press right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just not the time for you to be out there beating your chest talking about you hate black people. Like, it's not. Yeah, it's not cool, so to speak. Not that it's ever been cool, but right now I think most of the racists have kind of like retreated a little bit and say, all right, let's chill, and then we might have a match or sometime again soon, Yeah.
Well, we got to chill right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I see it. Yeah. Man, it's crazy. So, man, talk about, I really want to get in with you. I want to talk about, how we increase the black ownership network in Australia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel as if there's a lot of good conversations and a lot of people slowly starting doing different things.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see like, people actually starting to make a profit from the business and then African business, not just being African business, but now being able to commercially appeal themselves, commercially get into different markets.
Yeah.
Which I think that's necessary.
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough Africans in Australia, just population size, for us to just completely just be targeting one small niche.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to see, like, I was looking at one of your Instagram photos and I was like, no black people here.
Yeah,
so many different cultures here. And I was just like, all right, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
This is sort of the blueprint of how we expand ourselves and our culture.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have to like any type of business, black business owner in Australia in terms of their perspective of how they're looking at things?
That's a multi-layer question because it really comes down to your product.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a very simple example now. Let's say you're a nutritionist. You're a black nutritionist, right? You can have a client from any background.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they don't have to be black. They can be any color because you're a nutritionist and and then you can cater diets according to people's what people like to eat. Or let's say you're a black fitness, like my girl Sharon, she's like a fitness trainer, like a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Again, you can market to every single Australian because exercise doesn't really have any kind of like niche, right? You can just be like, all right, this is fitness. Food is the same thing. People want to eat. Music. I really think it comes down to the product and understanding what you're trying to sell and who you're trying to sell to.
Yeah.
Like, great example, there's not that many black people here for you to say, I only want to sell to black people. You know what I mean? But let's say you're a hairdresser, for example, right? And you only know how to make black people hair.
Yeah.
Right? So now you're like, well, this is my market and this is my target audience and this is how I have to promote this market to this specific group of people. Generally speaking, I think black people just need to start marketing to the population. And as much as we're growing black businesses and we're growing the economy and all of that, I think we really need to start looking at the whole population is your target audience as opposed to just like Nigerians or just Zimbabweans and stuff like that. Because if your product is meant for everyone, your marketing should be meant for everyone as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, man, especially that sense of inclusion, because I always thought to myself, realistically, there's not that many black people in Australia.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like we're living in the UK where the population is so large where you might be able to get away with just targeting to a specific audience.
Yeah.
But I think here, and I think people want to be, I think my sense from a lot of Australians and a lot of people from different communities is that people want to actually be in the community. Do you get what I mean? Like, people actually want to actually go to a little Lagos and try African food.
Yeah.
Like, people actually want to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just that, I guess, we need to be able to market it a little bit better so everyone can feel included.
Yeah, they need to feel like, they need to look a little Lagos and be like, I can go in there. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll be safe and no one's going to look at me weird or judge me weird or like, you know what I mean? Like, And I remember back in Dubai, there's this African joint where we used to go eat, like, you know, and I took my boy there, like, he's not black, he's like Indian background. Yeah. And I remember we got to the place looks dodgy. The food is amazing, but it just looks dodgy. Like, you go down the staircase, there's no door. You have to look up the camera and then they let you in. Loud, you know, just wild, you know. And he got scared. He literally got like scared. He's like, I'm like, no, that food is good. He's like, no. And we couldn't stay there. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you make sure everyone feels welcome in your business, whatever your product is, then people will be like, yeah, I want to try that out. Like, I want to go and check that spot out, or I want to see what that is about. And again, the thing is, like, black people have friends that are not black. Like, a lot of black people I've met in this country grew up with no black person. Like, you know what I mean? So all their friends are not black. So when you're thinking of your target audience, so you're thinking of them, you're thinking of their friends, because they all like the same thing. They you know, they go on vacation together, they eat the same food, they party together. Those are actually their friends. And a lot of them spend hours in the homes of their black friends when they're growing up.
Exactly.
So they eat, they eat all that food. So that's how you got to think about it. I don't think we should be microscoping and just being like, oh, I'm a black-owned business, I'm marketing to black people, and that's it, you know? I think we should really be looking at everyone. There are people who are multiracial. There are people who are black, but they were raised by white parents. You know what I mean? There are people who are married to non-black people. They become a black family. And a lot of people who come to Lagos are like that. It's like very, very like biracial, a lot of biracial couples. So you're talking to a white woman and she knows how to make egusi, and she's like, yeah, I make egusi at home. You know what I mean? So she doesn't look black, but she eats everything that black people eat.
Damn, that's a really good point. But look, man, I wanted to end the conversation there. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm happy I got to come here finally.
Finally. This to all the homies, man. I was looking at the YouTube page and I was looking at like all the different people, and I'm just like, man, these are the homies. Like, I'm sorry, there's just gonna be too many of the homies in the line now, man. But look, man, shout out to what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
I think the African diaspora community like appreciate and see what you're doing, because you're not just inspiring, you know, your community, but you're inspiring now a couple of generations that are looking and now looking, if he can do that, it's possible for me to do that. You know what I mean? And I think just that representation aspect of everything is extremely important, man. So shout out to you, because I know it ain't easy. I've been following. I've been following the story, man. I've been following the storyline. So look, also, can you just give a shout out to where people can find you, or people on the socials, on the store? Like, where can people get you?
So it's pretty easy. It's just Little Lagos. Like, once you type it up on all your socials, it should pop up. And we're at 125 Enmore Road. There's a big Nigerian flag on the window. You can't miss it. So just come through anytime. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Love.